to see you again and to continue to build on this previous lecture, to go deeper in the understanding of agriculture modernization and how farmers experience it today, farm families' responses, so the novelties for autonomy they produce, and finally, to understand better the UNDROP, so the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Peasants and Other People Working in Rural Areas, which is a human rights tool to protect this nourishing inventiveness or problem-solving creativity. And that would be the final point of this presentation today. So first, I would like to go deeper with you in the understanding of agriculture modernization. And I suggest there are three ways to understand it. First, we can understand agriculture modernization as a project, a normative discourse on the future spread by governmental organizations that define a pressing problem, feeding Europe. Current situation was defined as problematic. Continuity was neither allowed nor moral. This normative discourse provides also the solution, the achievement of modernized agriculture. So the structural development of agriculture, both in terms of scale, so objects of labor, hectares, animals per labor unit, and in terms of intensity, gross output per object of labor, liter per cow, tons per hectare. So the central issue becomes then managing science for technical progress. So to develop expert design technologies that promise to bring breakthrough changes and get them accepted by farmers. According to different authors I would mention later, this agricultural revolution creates a rupture with the past in terms of cultural norms. The discourse builds two opposite categories: ancient agriculture versus modern agriculture. Thus, peasantry became a practice ignored by theories, and its enactments were considered as anomalies, irrational behavior, or vanishing traces of ancient world. This is the intellectual obliteration, erasing of peasantry. Modernization operated an abrupt shift in terms of relevance. Locality is not considered as a resource for local specific practices anymore. The focus is on global markets, global parameters, so market trends, newest technologies, agricultural policies, rules, and subsidies. Modernization as a normative discourse contains also prescriptions about the organization of the farm itself. Good farming became intensive farming, while farming economically, what is now called low external input agriculture, was considered as inferior. In other words, modernization promoted a new moral economy, a new rationale, a new legitimate way of mentally organizing farm production, so-called logic of farming. Secondly, we can understand agriculture modernization as a process, focusing on what happened at the aggregate level. What are the new institutions and the new arrangements? For instance, we observe both a horizontal divide, a specialization of farm regions, and a vertical divide along the food chain, the increasing distinction between raw material producers, farmers, transporters, process industries, distribution and retail companies. Thus, farmers were distanced from final consumers. Moreover, food processing and selling left the farm. If we look at the multiple tasks that have to be done from the soil to the plate, agriculture modernization fostered the externalization of some of these tasks toward external, so out of the farm institutions. This phenomenon had three major implications that redesigned the farm and changed the relationship with its environment. First, the externalization of tasks changed the knowledge required to run a farm. Second, we observe an increasing commoditization of resources that used to be produced and used on the farm, and then began when the flow went through the market then. In other words, resources like animal food, fertilizers, water, seeds, heifers, that did not leave the farm during their life cycle in the past, or only exceptionally, are now exchanged for money, bought or sold on the market. Third, we observe a shift of the source of the know-how. As entire segments of the labor process left the farm, the farmers had to learn the code, the directions for use, if you want, of technologies from the vendors or the industries, and to comply with the prescriptions and the standards of food processing industries. State rules and subsidies, the so-called conditionality in subsidy programs, also prescribe what, how, and when to do. Technical administrative relationships seek to create alignment and coordination on the farm again through prescriptions. And finally, we can study how modernization affected agriculture as a set of daily practices, activities, knowledge, and techniques. These connections, new connections, relationships, and practices entered farmers' daily life. Farmers abandoned horses for tractors, started growing maize and buying imported soy, selected and specialized breeds, the Belgian White Blue or the Prim Holstein, for instance, and had new types of relationships with vendors and controllers. Many farmers in Europe today face similar modern problems, causing sometimes burnout and depression. The highly specialized, aging, and declining farming population express critical views on modernization that can be explained through two simple drawings. First, farmers face the well-known economic squeeze. While costs of production constantly increase, prices